Hey everybody, peace, love, and tie-dye. Today we're going to be talking about hot water irrigation technique we use on mass production of our tie-dye in the wintertime. First we like to explain a little bit about our setup. We got a couple different setups. Very easily we got an empty tote underneath with a racking. We lay our shirts across there, but if you can get a nice cooler, old cooler, take off the lid, lay some racking across it, and then when you apply your water and it drains through, it's going to go into the bottom of the cooler. And then over here, as you can see down here, we got a drain plug. We can use this drain plug, drain out the old stuff, put it in a nice big jug, dispose of it properly. This is one of the pretty much ultimate setups right here, is an old cooler with some racking, and make sure it has the drain plug. Some coolers don't have drain plugs, but you want to make sure you have a drain plug. So back over here, we'll start off with, we wash our shirts, we strip down any coating that we have. We do not soak it in soda ash right now or anytime. It's soda ash free. And the theory behind that is, if there's no soda ash, when you go to apply the dye your shirt, you're going to get a good saturation into your fibers. It's going to go all the way through. You're going to get that nice saturation. If it's already got the soda ash in the shirt, I mean, you can do it either way. This is the way we do it. If you have the soda ash already in there and you go and you apply your hot water with your soda ash in it, as soon as it hits the dye, it's going to start bonding right away. Then you're going to have to use a lot more water than what we actually do to get that complete saturation. But that's why we don't soak the soda ash first, and especially if you have an irritation in soda ash, this is the best way to go, because this is the least contact you're going to have with the soda ash. We'll explain a little bit about that when we go to the soda ash station, where we prepare the soda ash mixture. Let's talk about the dye recipe. The dye recipe, we just follow the directions on the jar. Whatever Dharma says, that's what we do. It's supposed to come out the best. We actually did a little bit of testing by adding more dye. We found out that a lot of times it's just a waste, because you can only fill the shirt with so much dye. It's only going to take so much. Yes, you want that complete saturation, but you don't want to waste your dye neither. So what we did was we laid out our shirts. We started dyeing it up. We tried to dye them up accordingly, the green on the green, the lighter colors, orange and yellow on orange and red. The reason behind that is see, we have this chocolate brown one. If we start applying our soda ash and we get a little bit of splatter, the brown will actually land up over here, and you get some on the fuchsia red, and then you just ruin that shirt. So you actually want to do the darker colors with the darker colors when you can. So here we have our basic layout of shirts, and we'll apply all the yellows first, and then we'll do the reds and the blues and the greens one after another. We actually let it sit for maybe an hour or so. I mean, you could do it right away, but we found out if you let it sit for like an hour or so, you're going to get that good saturation. The dye is going to get into that fiber the best it can. It's going to go completely through the other side. We did dye both sides of these shirts. So that pretty much has it. So we're going to go over to the soda ash station over here, prepare our soda ash, and then we'll start applying the soda ash mixture to the shirt. And we'll have ourselves one awesome tie-dye shirt. Like I always say, when you're tie-dyeing, no matter what technique you use, when you apply your dye, you always want to go back and get inside there and look inside the pleats to see if you see any of the white. If you see any of the white, apply some more dye. You need that good saturation. So always go back in there and check out your pleats inside. And hopefully that'll help you out in making a better, awesome shirt. Like I always like to say, when I tie dye, no matter what technique you use, I always go back after I lay the dye in there and go and check inside the pleats, make sure I don't see any white. If I see any white, I'll add some more dye to it. You want an awesome tie-dye shirt? It's all about saturation. You want the color to penetrate all the way through. So make sure you check inside the pleats. Add more dye if necessary. Soda ash area. Here's where we make all our soda ash. First thing we want to do is talk about safety. Safety, you always want to wear a mask while you're doing this. And we particularly wear goggles too. You want to protect your face at all costs from the fumes that are coming up from the hot water. And also here we have a hot oven mitt that you can get. We use that so you can hold the hot bottles of water while you're inducing the water into your shirt. So what we have here is an old coffee maker. We use that to keep the water hot. We don't actually use it to make it hot. We use it to keep the temperature at a stable temperature. What we actually do is use a kettle. We'll get that steaming hot, boiling, whistling. We'll put it into our coffee maker. We'll add some more hot water from the tap. Throw it in here. So we got double the amount in the least amount of time to wait. It's pretty much up to temperature, 150 degrees. And what we do is we'll take a quarter cup of our soda ash, which we have here. We always mark our container for safety too. We'll pour a quarter cup of that into our 2-cup bottles of hot water that we get out of the coffee maker. Shake it up vigorously, get it well mixed. And we're just going to apply it to our shirt. So we'll start the first one. And like what we like to do is we'll start with the yellow first and push the yellow into the other colors, the green and red. So try to keep the full color of the yellow on the shirt. And you can see this yellow reacts with the temperature of the water. It's turning orange. But once it cools down, it'll turn back to yellow. And you can see here how I'm pushing off the dye. Pushing the yellow off into the darker dye, so you try to keep the yellow. Let it go through, let it saturate. And I'll go down and I'll hit all these shirts with our mixture of soda ash and hot water. And then I'll flip them over and do it again. We'll try to show you on this one as we pour the hot water and it's getting saturated. You can see the dye coming out from the bottom, which is what you want, because then you know you're thoroughly getting it saturated. Like I said many times before, when you think you used enough hot water, use some more. See the color of the dye running out? Pushing it towards the red. Pushing it towards the green. The green will start coming out. When you see that pure green coming out, that means the shirt's going to be fully saturated. See how I just worked myself away in a circle? I stopped here and then jumped over and went back onto the yellow to push it away. But you can see as it's dripping, it's fully saturated. And that's what you get when you let it sit for that half an hour to an hour. Just in the dye, letting it penetrate into the fibers. Here's our soda ash mixture when we're doing hot water irrigation regular white tie-dye t-shirts. We have 150 degree temperature water. We have we're using a 2-cup bottle, which we put a quarter cup of soda ash in, which equals to 2 tablespoons per cup. So if you're only making 1 cup worth, it's only 2 tablespoons. If you're using 2 cups, it's 4 tablespoons or a quarter cup of the soda ash. That's the usual mixture we use to do classic regular tie-dye white t-shirts. Okay, so here I'm applying the soda ash mixture to the last shirt. It has pink in it, which I'm going to use the pink first. Start with the pink and push the colors out. You can hear it dripping. That too, a lot of people ask me, well, how do you know when to flip it? How do you know when to flip it? This is exactly how you know when to flip it. See how I got all this soda ash on here? It's filling up the shirt, soaking it through, getting that saturation. Hear that? See that? When you don't hear that anymore, then you know to flip it. Flip it over. We're going to flip these all over and hit this side with the soda ash. And then we'll actually run it again through this plain hot water to get that ultimate saturation. And voila, it's done. I'll show you what's nice about having these big coffee makers is right here, this nozzle. You open it up, the water comes out, fits perfectly on the bottle. You open that up, fill it up, no mess. Put your lid on, vigorously shake it up, continue on. This is the nice key part of it right here, this nozzle. And then it holds a large quantity of hot water. Hot water. So pretty much for one shirt, we use one bottle of our soda ash mixture. 1 cup on one side, 1 cup on another. Half a bottle, half a bottle. After we do that, we go back with another 2 bottles of this plain old hot water that we have in our coffee maker. And we'll just keep going. We'll use this and go over it to seal the deal. Get the full saturation. We know when the water is coming out the bottom clear. All the dye's been pushed out. We'll let it sit for a half an hour to an hour to let cool. Open it up, rinse it out, throw it in the washer. If you want an awesome shirt, let it sit overnight. But minimum, we wait an hour or so. We'll open them up, wash them out, get them ready for the market.